Good morning and a very warm welcome. You're watching the Breakfast Rundown on TV1. I'm Therunee Karunaratne. We're coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. President Karunaratne is currently on an official visit to India. Yesterday, he held a few meetings with Indian ministers and, of course, a couple more high-profile meetings are also scheduled for the president to take part in. We have details on all these stories as well as a key international story coming to you from the Middle East this morning. Stay tuned with us. We have all the news in detail. Well, in our top story for this morning, of course, it concerns President Karunaratne's official Indian visit. Sri Lankan President Karunaratne has commenced bilateral discussions during his official visit to India. Today, President Dissanayake is scheduled to meet with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. According to the President's media division, Indian Minister of Finance and Minister of Corporate Affairs Nirmala Sitharaman, Minister of External Affairs Dr. S. Jaishankar and India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval met with President Karunaratne last night. In a meeting between President Dissanayake and Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, extensive discussions were held on enhancing economic cooperation between Sri Lanka and India, as well as expanding investment opportunities between the two countries. The meeting also focused on increasing the number of Indian tourists visiting Sri Lanka and the development of agricultural modernization as well as digital infrastructure in Sri Lanka. The meeting with Minister of External Affairs of India, Dr. S. Jaishankar, was centered around utilizing India's market to support Sri Lanka's economic recovery. The President's media division also noted that the Indian government expressed its willingness to assist in the tourism, investment as well as energy sectors. Additionally, the discussions also covered the sectors of mutual interest, including the promotion of the fisheries industry as well as national unity. India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval met with the President and discussions took place on regional security issues. Meanwhile, the Sri Lankan Ministry of Foreign Affairs mentioned that President Dissanayake and his delegation are expected to meet with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and reach several agreements during the meeting. The Sri Lankan President and his delegation will also engage in discussions with Indian President Draupadi Murmu. Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Employment and Tourism, Vijay Herath, Minister of Labour and Economic Development, Professor Anil Jayantha Fernando, and several other senior government officials are accompanying President Karunaratne on this official visit to India. The primary goal of President AKD's official visit to India is to further enhance the Indo-Sri Lankan relations. The visit is set to conclude tomorrow. Let's move on to more local news for this morning. Now, the All Ceylon Egg Producers Association has announced that for the upcoming festive season, eggs will be sold at retail prices between 30 to 35 rupees. Its chairman Anton Apuhami requests all retail sellers to price eggs below 35 rupees starting today. He added that in 2023, eggs were sold at 65 to 70 rupees during the same festive period. However, by now, the egg production has been increased and the price levels have settled. Apuhami went on to note that all egg farmers possess a surplus of stocks. He informs consumers that a 50-gram egg can be purchased at 30 to 32 rupees and an egg heavier than 55 grams can be purchased at 33 to 35 rupees. Now, Sri Lanka Customs meanwhile says that 4,800 metric tons of imported rice have been released to importers within the past few days. According to Customs spokesperson Sivali Arugoda, from this stock, 3,000 metric tons are nadu rice and 1,800 metric tons are raw rice. Let's move on to your weather update for this morning. The Met Department says that a low pressure area is likely to form over the southeast Bay of Bengal during the next 24 hours. It is likely to intensify further and move west-northwestwards to the Tamil Nadu coast, close to the north of Sri Lanka during the subsequent 2 days. The general public, particularly living in the eastern and northern provinces, are requested to be attentive to the future forecasts and bulletins issued by the Met Department in this regard. And in your weather forecast for today, cloudy skies can be expected over most parts of the island. Showers or thunder showers will occur at times in the northern, eastern, north central, Uber and northwestern provinces and in the Matale and Nuwara Eliya districts. Showers or thunder showers may occur at several places elsewhere during the evening or night. Heavy showers of about 100 millimeters are likely at some places in the northern, eastern, north central and Uber provinces and in the Matale district. A few showers are also likely over the western coastal areas during the morning hours. Fairly strong winds of about 40 kilometers per hour can be expected at times over the northern, north central and northwestern provinces and in the Matale and Trincomalee districts. Misty conditions can be expected in the central, Sabaragamuwa and southern provinces during the morning hours as well. And as always, the general public is requested to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during thunder showers. Well, let's move on to more local news now. 2 people were injured in a shooting that occurred in Balimulla, Mitiagoda last night. The shooting had been carried out by 3 unidentified individuals who arrived in a 3-wheeler and then proceeded to attack them with sharp weapons as well. A 9mm pistol had been used to carry out this shooting. A 49-year-old man and 29-year-old woman were injured in this incident. They are currently receiving treatment at the Balapitia Base Hospital, and police say that the shooting and attack was a result of a personal dispute. Meanwhile, a motor vehicle involved in an accident with a senior police inspector from Vattegama in Matale has been seized, along with a suspect being arrested. Police said that the suspect is a resident of Ampara. The police officer who was involved in the accident had gone out to exercise last morning but had failed to return, and this is what had prompted the search for him. Later, his body was found on the roadside in a drain. The police indicated that the vehicle involved in the accident fled the scene after it hit the officer. The deceased is a 58-year-old resident of Vattegama and was a senior police inspector serving at the Matale police station. Well, there's a leptospirosis outbreak currently being reported in various districts of the country, and the number of fatalities due to leptospirosis in the Jaffna district alone has risen to 8. The epidemiology unit of the Ministry of Health stated that 39 patients are currently receiving treatment in hospitals. Leptospirosis cases have been reported from 3 health medical officer divisions in the Jaffna district: Point Pedro, Chavakacheri and Karavetti. Dr. Tushani Dabarera, a specialist in the epidemiology unit of the Ministry of Health, mentioned that 58 cases of leptospirosis had been reported as of yesterday. Among them, 28 patients are receiving treatment at the Point Pedro Hospital and 11 patients are being treated at the Jaffna Hospital. The Ministry of Health also stated that 2 health teams conducted an investigation in the North Province last week regarding this leptospirosis outbreak. The ministry also noted that nearly 12,000 cases have been reported in the country this year alone. In December alone, 85 leptospirosis cases have been reported, and the Ministry of Health's epidemiology unit further stated that about 200 deaths from the disease have been reported so far this year. Let's move on to news overseas for this morning. Our international news item is coming in from Israel. Israel's government has approved a plan to encourage the expansion of settlements in the occupied Golan Heights region. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the move was necessary because a new front had opened up on Israel's border with Syria after the fall of the Assad regime to an Islamist-led rebel alliance. Netanyahu said he wanted to double the population population of the Golan Heights, which Israel seized during the 1967 Six-Day War and is considered illegally occupied under the international law. Israeli forces moved into a buffer zone separating the Golan Heights from Syria in the days following Assad's departure, saying the change of control in Damascus meant ceasefire arrangements had collapsed. Now, despite the move, Netanyahu said in a statement on Sunday evening that Israel has no interest in conflict with Syria. There are more than 30 Israeli settlements in the Golan Heights, which are home to an estimated 20,000 people. They are considered illegal under international law, which Israel disputes. Netanyahu's announcement comes a day after Syria's new de facto leader Ahmed al-Sharaa criticized Israel for its ongoing strikes on military targets in the country, which have reportedly targeted military facilities. The UK-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, or SOHR, has documented more than 450 Israeli airstrikes on Syria since the 8th of December, including 75 since Saturday evening. Well, that brings to a close this morning's edition of the Breakfast Rundown on TV1. I'm Therunee Karunaratne. I'll see you once again right here at 7 a.m. tomorrow. Until then, take care. Have a wonderful day ahead.